Danzig. I am here with my colleague Linda Hurley behind me, also of Riker Danzig, and we represent the applicant. This is an application for preliminary and final site plan approval with bulk variances. The applicant proposes to demolish the existing structures, combine the lots into a single tax lot, and construct a 117-room Cambria hotel and suites. Before we get to a roadmap on how we'd like to proceed, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a few comments about this application. Ladies and gentlemen, Morristown has not had a new hotel in over 35 years. We intend to show that there is an indisputable demand for one. Of all of the towns and cities in New Jersey, Cambria picked Morristown, and for good reason. Under the steady leadership of the mayor, council, this board, and others, Morristown is in the midst of a renaissance. People want to work here. People want to live here. And as you will hear, people want to do business and they want to travel here. The redevelopment projects and the incentives that went along with them have spurred market rate development now, including this project. And as you all saw on the green recently, even Mr. Lavozo's beautiful building, which is a market rate project as well. That was the intent of the redevelopment in this town, to spur market rate development. As you know, a new hotel will bring walking wallets to Morristown that will fuel and support our retail businesses. Although I am the attorney for this application, I am also a 15-year resident of this town. I purchased a home here, and my two boys are in the public school system. I would never advocate for a project that I thought would adversely affect my family and my neighbors. The hotel proposed here is not some cookie-cutter, low-end building that will cheapen or degrade the beautiful work that's underway on Market and Bank Street. It's going to enhance it. The project proposed is a boutique hotel for business travelers that has been customized for Morristown. On the outside, we have developed a design that we believe complements the 40-plus project, the proposed vertical apartments, and the Hampshire, what I call Flatiron building on the street. On the inside, we're going to show you modern, chic spaces that offer all of the amenities that travelers demand in this marketplace. We are also, however, keenly aware of a challenge with this location: parking. We're not going to shy away from this issue. We're not going to dance around it. We're going to take it head on, and we intend to show you that we have a plan to park this hotel off-site with minimal impact to this area. We are here to present this case, but we're also here to listen. The applicant looks forward to working with you, the town, and the residents to bring this extraordinary project to fruition. So with that, I'm going to give the board a roadmap of our presentation. Tonight, we will briefly have the applicant introduce himself, and then you will hear testimony from Brad Bohlers, the engineer, and then Scott Rosenberg, the architect. We only intend to call 2 witnesses tonight. We don't think this should be a test of endurance. And we also want to give you, the board, the professionals, and the public the opportunity to ask these witnesses all of the questions that they have. At the next hearing, we intend to call 3 more witnesses. You will hear from Justin Jabara, who will testify about operations of the hotel. Corey Chase of Atlantic Traffic will testify about parking and traffic. And finally, you'll hear from Michael Tobia, who is a professional planner. He'll summarize the application, and he will address the bulk variances for this project. With that, I would ask the developer, Dan Coughlin, just to briefly approach and introduce himself. And Mr. Chair, we're not relying on his testimony, so...
He still needs to be sworn.
Okay, I'll swear in.
Raise your right hand. You swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
So help me God.
Please state your name and business address for the record and kindly spell your last name.
My name is Daniel Coughlin, K-H-O-S-H-A-B-A, and we are at 67 Park Place in Morristown, New Jersey. Mr. Chairman and fellow board members, thank you for hearing us this evening. And then thank you for your time. I am David Shaba. I own a company called City Sunstone Properties. City Sunstone Properties owns land on Bank and Market Street in New Jersey, here in Morristown, where the proposed Cambria Suite Hotel would be built. I am a New Jersey resident. I've lived here for 25 years. My children attended Morristown Barrett, gone to school here, and my company KSA Capital Partners, which owns City Sunstone Properties, is based here in Morristown. I'm very excited about this project. This is a legacy asset that we intend to own for many decades, and I'm hoping that we build a great hotel with your help. I'll be around this evening for questions, and very happy to meet you tonight.
Thanks, Anthony. Okay, with that, Mr. Chair, we'd like to call our first witness, Brad Bohlers.
Lord, swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please state your name and business address for the record, and I'm going to kindly spell your last name.
Bradford Bohler, B-O-H-L-E-R, 35 Technology Drive, Warren, New Jersey.
Okay, Mr. Bohlers, could you just give a brief summary of your employment history for the board?
Yes, I've been working at Bohler Engineering for over 11 years. I've been licensed as a principal in the company for over 8 years.
What's your role in connection with this application, sir?
I prepared, in conjunction with other people in our office, the application in front of you tonight.
Could you give the board the benefit of your education and your licenses?
Yes, I have a bachelor and master's in science and civil engineering from Purdue University. I hold a professional engineering license in civil engineering in the state of New Jersey for over 8 years, as well as 7 other states throughout the East Coast.
I'm assuming it's still permanent?
Yes, it is.
Okay, you usually be with the board.
Correct.
So I will accept you as
Thank you.
professional.
Mr. Bohlers, did you prepare or possibly prepare a site plan in connection with this application?
We did, yes.
Yes, sir. Could you please describe the site plan?
I'll start with existing conditions first, just to orient the board. I'm a little fuzzy, and I'll zoom in a little bit closer, but this is the overall Morristown downtown center with the green.
Sorry, do you want to,
middle.
are these exhibits, do we want to put these in the record exhibits, or these right out of the, these are right out of the application?
We have, at the end, we will submit a hard copy of this entire presentation. We mark this exhibit. We intend to present it electronically, but we do have a hard copy to submit.
Okay.
So this is an aerial, overall aerial plan. It does show the green in the middle with our property to the southwest corner of the green. I'll zoom in a little bit further. Headquarters Plaza is right in this area as well. So this orient the board. Here's a closer view of our property. So this property is located at block 6001, lot 1, 1.01, 1.05, lots 8 and lots 11. Market Street in this aerial is on the southeast corner, running towards the green in one direction. The site is located, as outlined in the red area, fronts on Market Street, and also fronts on Bank Street, which would run away from the green to the southwest location. The property does hold addresses at both Bank Street and Market Street, and has frontages of multiple buildings on both streets in those locations. The site is located in the CB2 zone. It's in kind with surrounding zones to the north of the property as well. To the north of the property is the Market Street Mission, which would be along Market Street as well as Bank Street. To the west, or the east of the property, would be 40 Park, which would be at the corner of the Green and Market Street, and directly across the site. To the south is a few more buildings, as well as the Fox Building at the corner of Market and Bank. And then to the west of the property is the Bank Street parking lot in that location. Currently on site, again, there are multiple number of buildings. There's a small parking lot that contains about 5 or 6 parking spaces that's located to the north portion of the property, this little elbow. The site is a little bit unusual shape. It's a T-shaped location. As I'm sure the board's aware, there is two-way traffic on Market Street that heads north at this location, and there's approximately,
Did you say two-way traffic?
sorry, two-lane traffic,
Oh, okay.
yeah, two-lane traffic, heading north on Market, and then there's 3 parking spaces along our frontage at that location. Just to the north of our site, there is a striped loading zone that fronts along the firehouse, the old firehouse, as well as the Market Street addition, which is striped out currently. Bank Street is, again, also one-way heading southbound. It's one lane from the green, and along our frontage is 6 parking spaces in that location. This site also is a little bit unusual from a shape perspective, but also from a grade perspective. The planners noted as well the grade difference between Market Street and Bank Street is between 8 and 14 feet. Market Street being on the higher side of that elevation. So I'll go to the site plan for the proposal. So this is a colorized rendering of our site plan for the proposal. The yellow tan color is actually the proposed building on site, with the gray areas to the north, or the top of the page being Bank Street, and Market Street being on the bottom of the page, which is south of the building. The proposal is for 117 room hotel. The proposal also is to build out the full lot lines from Bank Street to Market Street to the hotel. So a full build out with the property being 100% occupied by the building. That proposal results in a number of variances for the lot, one of which is that the building coverage will be 100% of the property. Currently, the zoning requires 80%, and based on the current existing conditions, where the walls of the existing buildings are at the lot lines, we're proposing to replace that, so we're going to build it in with the hotel. From an approved lot perspective, again, the requirement's 95% in this proposal because it's all building exposed at this location. We're requesting a variance for 100% coverage for building and lot coverage. The last variance we're requesting is actually an existing nonconformity for this building along Bank Street. The existing buildings are 6 feet from the curb line, and we're proposing to maintain that setback, essentially keeping the building within the property line, but maintain those lines. So along the property line to the Bank Street side as well as Market Street, the building will be at the property line in those locations. The proposal also is to replace all the curbing and sidewalk along Bank and Market Street once the construction is complete. We would meet the Morristown sidewalk standards for those locations to ensure that we're compliant with the surrounding areas. From an overall perspective, that covers the big proposal. Parking was mentioned previously, and we do have a traffic consultant that will address the off-street parking. But I did want to touch on the on-street parking that's going to be affected as part of the proposal. I mentioned before there's 3 parking spaces on Market Street. Our proposal is to strike out 1 parking space. It would be the parking space directly adjacent to the loading zone that's in front of the firehouse. We would strike that out, and that would be used for taxis, shuttles, Uber, something like that, where it's more of a commercial user dropping off a customer for the hotel. On the the Bank Street side, I mentioned before there's 6 parking spaces in that on that area. We're proposing to reconfigure those parking spaces to propose only 3 at that location, so there'll be a loss of 3 parking spaces along Bank Street. We propose a loading area as well as strike that area for valet parking at that location. So overall total, there'll be 1 lost parking space on Market and 3 lost parking spaces on Bank Street for the operation of the site. We have worked with the parking authority to compensate for those lost spaces on both Market and Bank at this location. We will have operations testimony as well coming for this use. But I would mention that there is a loading zone along Bank Street. It would be on the southern portion of the building. There's 1 striped out area. It's 26 feet wide by 8 feet long, and it does have access to the garage door that the architect will touch on shortly, that location. So we do have a loading zone proposed for this facility that would not be on the valet striped out area at that location. This loading zone will also handle trash, and we'll get to that further as part of our operations testimony. From a lighting perspective, we do propose 14 LED sconce lights along the building, both along Market and Bank to provide illumination at the sidewalk of these locations. This is in compliance with lighting standards for public walkways as well as entrances along both Market and Bank Street. The biggest challenge we had on the site from a civil engineering perspective was the grading differential on the property. And we've worked with the architect to make sure that we account for the grade differential. On the site, we looked at the average grade for the property, which accounts for both Bank and Market Street. Bank being lower and Market Street being the higher end. When we average the grade at that location, you end up with an approximate average grade of about 365.3 feet elevation. And the architect will talk about how that relates to the building elevations for both Bank and Market Street when he speaks about the building. There was a request to talk about the constructability of this site, this location. And I'm sure it's pretty fresh in everyone's mind based on the Fox building that's under construction right now. We are working with the general contractor to map out that constructability and how this will be constructed. We've had preliminary discussions with them, and they have a general plan in place for how they intend to stage on site and how they intend to operate through this. Our proposal is not to stage off-site, and we will present a staging plan, a construction plan, a sequencing plan to the professionals and to the township prior to going into construction. I'm sure we'll have a pre-construction meeting to talk about that as well and go through that, make sure that we're 100% in line with what the town's looking for from a constructability perspective. The last thing I want to touch on is the stormwater management plan and utilities for the site. The site will be in compliance with NJDEP, NJDOT, and township stormwater criteria as part of our proposal. And we will have all underground utilities for the proposal. Electric, gas, water, and sewer will be all underground, either going to Bank Street or Market Street accordingly.
Any questions for this witness? Further, we'd open for questions from the board and the professionals with the right to recall, Mr.
Yes, there be questions from the professionals.
Could you put some elevations of the building? My questions are mostly to do with the trash collection, trash removal from the site, the size of equipment that you would have for that, and how you would be getting any containers in and out, and as well as the vehicles to get to the trash and pull it out in terms of clearances, heights, quantities, because that's frequently a problem with a building of this type.
Yeah.
And this doesn't give me a very clear picture of what your plans for that are. And also you mentioned the pickup drop-off areas in the front, and it's, I'm a little confused as to how, I assume the front is Market Street, correct? You basically see the front of the building as Market, judging from the architectural plans, that's where the lobby is, correct?
That's what the law is, yes.
Okay, so most people will be wanting to go into the entrance on Market Street, and that's, of course, a one-way street going towards the square. So I'm kind of, if you were a visitor to Morristown, it would be a little confusing how you would get to that entrance of the building. Just a little while ago, I went around the site, and I'm thinking, well, boy, if I wanted to get to that hotel lobby, how would I get there? How would I know how to get there? It's not a very direct, simple, unless you know that Maple is the way to get there. You'd probably go on the Bank Street side, because that's where you dropped off from the square, but it's not, you're not really going to make that U-turn at Kendall to get back onto Market. So it's just a little confusing how you have the entrance relative to how people would access the site. And then the other issue is when you say that there are going to be 3 vehicles for, commercial vehicles. Well, how many people would be showing up in a car, whether it be a rental or their own car, and want to park and get into the hotel, check their luggage, and how long would they be parked there. It seems to be, a very congested place. There's nowhere that anybody could get off the road. They'd be in the parking lane of Market or Bank. So it's like, it seems like you'd have a lot of vehicles, not to mention the vehicles, like the deliveries and for the operation of the hotel. And it's kind of like, you've given a little mention of some of these things, but I don't get a very clear picture of how it would work.
Those are excellent questions. And for us to address those tonight without our traffic and operations people, would not do it justice. I will tell you that's our focus, and they will be hopefully giving you more than you even want on traffic and circulation and loading. But, we're going to dedicate our whole next meeting really to operations and traffic. So those are excellent questions, and we certainly will address all of that with our next two experts for the next meeting.
Mr. Chairman, that speaks to, I think, what's going to be part of the application is the operation in terms of street side, the hotel in terms of when potential residents or guests of the hotel come to the hotel, and then folks that work at the hotel take their cars and park their cars. And so the applicant has got to explain that to the board. The other thing the applicant has to explore is there are parking spots that are metered parking spots. Whether that's a governing body issue, the extinction of those parking spots, or whether it's a parking authority issue, or whether it's a state highway issue, because both Market and Bank are state highways. You're going to have to explore that also.
Yes, and we will.
Yeah, some of your features, the overhang, go into the right of way. So you're going to have to explore that with the state. So this is probably going to be a long application for the board.
And I will say, I don't want to give you too much, but I'll give you a little taste, because you did. I'll give you a general overview. The valet operation will operate from the Bank Street side of this hotel. All valet drop-off and pickup will be on valet. It'll be 100% valet parked hotel. And the Market Street side will have one spot for drop-off meant for airport traffic, shuttle bus, Uber, taxi, and those types of uses. Again, my expert's going to go into all this in great detail, but that's the general setup for the pickup and drop-off.
So Market Street will be like the UK side of the hotel, and Bank Street will be the working side of the hotel.
Right, and Market Street will be the primary pedestrian, not, for the active part, there's a lobby in the front.
As far as stormwater or any of those issues, do you have any questions?
In terms of stormwater, the site's 100% occupied by impervious surfaces. They propose to have it 100% occupied by impervious surfaces. So in terms of site issues, there's not a lot. But there's really, in terms of management of traffic and how they propose to operate their use, that the board's going to wrestle with.
Any board member, any questions for this witness?
Yeah, just two quick questions as I was going through the plans. The sidewalk details you had, you said you're going to restore according to town, proposal. I'm presuming that's with the partnership style, the sidewalk that just goes through that area already?
Yes.
Okay.
The offsetting score.
The offset score and the 2-foot wide strip, yeah. Okay. The other question I had is there was in the plans is a detailed tree protection, but I don't think there's a tree going on the site, so I'm a little confused.
We'll remove that. That was part of this later provision.
I'll open it to members of the public with any questions for this particular applicant. It's just questions, no comments. Yes, come forward and stand by yourself. Yes. Yeah, we have to pick up for the record.
Need your name and need your name.
Donna McNamara.
Address?
20 Collins Avenue. size and what is the elevation? That seems to be in the context of what we're talking about today.
Can you speak up?
It's presented.
Our architect will be on next, and he'll be discussing the elevations. Thank you.
And the question was how many stories
And elevation.
and elevation?
Marie Roseanne, I'm at 30 Park Place, West Park Place. And I just have a question about the loading zone. I think you have one dedicated substandard loading zone. Is the loading zones described or already very busy, like, for example, in front of the firehouse?
Yes, the operations folks will get into what type of vehicles come and drop off their goods or pick up goods there. So they'll explain what size trucks will go in that substandard loading zone.
Where is that? Is that market?
It's on Bank Street, yes.
And by the way, we're going to write down all your questions. If for some reason you can't come to the next meeting, I'll submit the questions to our experts. Thank you.
Any other member of the public with questions? Hearing none, close the public portion.